Hello, we are Group 14. Today we are going to talk about our research on analyzing cloud computing adoption in product industry organizations using the TOGAF architecture framework. In this presentation, we first show how the literature review of key terms related to the research question. Then, Amazon AWS and Philips case studies are provided to demonstrate the methodology way of implementing cloud computing by successful business, and how their use of cloud computing increases business value based on TOGAF as the architecture framework. Furthermore, discussion and summary are given and point out the future direction of research. Based on a series of research and analysis, cloud computing and enterprise architecture are hot topics, and then discuss the advantages, disadvantages, and applications in the business separately. We found that previous studies have not examined the adoption of cloud computing on large business using TOGAF architecture framework. So this analysis is valued and then can be used by organizations as an additional tool to determine their decision of moving to the cloud. Let's move to the literature review section. Cloud computing is treated as an emerging technology and business model, which is widely used in companies in daily operation at present. On-demand self-service, broad network access, resource pooling, rapid elasticity, and measure services are the 5 characteristics of the cloud introduced by the NIST to benefit organizations in daily operation. SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS are the top 3 cloud computing services models, with differences in the scope of services delivered to the business. SaaS is the most popular one and allow users like Gmail and Google to access the software applications on the vendor's infrastructure to reduce related costs and free from building and maintaining the infrastructure. And the public, private, community, and hybrid cloud are introduced as cloud computing deployment models. Public cloud is widely used by the public, like Amazon, to be managed by the cloud providers, but security is the major concern. As for enterprise architecture, it is defined as a layered architecture including components, structure, and processes of an enterprise to achieve both short-term and long-term goals and ensure up-to-date with the changing environment. There are 4 architectural layers of EA, which include business architecture, data or information architecture, technology architecture, as well as application architecture. Then, TOGAF ADM is introduced as a famous enterprise architecture framework. It involves a cyclic architecture deployment phases, and those phases should be considered by the enterprise when they bring cloud computing in. Last but not least, it is essential to identify the architecture requirements before establishing any organizational cloud-based services. These requirements should be aligned with the need of organization as well as the cloud services. Therefore, it is essential to consider the business goals and requirements for the successful implementation of the cloud-based architecture. Next, my group member, Mansi, will analyze the architecture framework using 2 case studies.
Analyzing the architectural framework. Amazon AWS and Philips case studies are used as examples to product industries to perform case analysis of enterprise architectures using the TOGAF ADM framework. Enterprise architecture domain analysis for Amazon AWS. Enterprise architecture mainly drives an organization's business needs, information flow, and process designs. The Amazon AWS cloud mainly operates on 4 domains: the business architecture, application architecture, data architecture, and technology architecture. The business architecture domain mainly focuses on analyzing the organization's vision and objectives to determine the services and capabilities. The application architecture determines the way of implementing the said business capabilities and services. It basically enables the organization to understand its relationship with the business processes and then determines the individual application of the same. The data architecture determines the structure of data assets and management systems in an organization, and that can help them aid in the customer trends using data analytics. The technology architecture analyzes the software and hardware and are essential for realizing the business and application needs. This is the relationship between the organization's application landscape and the four domains that are shown in the figure. Moving on to analyzing the Philips cloud migration using TOGAF ADM. Now we take an example of Philips, a manufacturer in pioneer in manufacturing lights, fittings, home appliance, and electrical appliance. We use Utomo 2014's case study to analyze the key findings from this. The analysis is carried out in three main steps: the methodological frameworks, migration from as-is to to-be architecture, and delivery to target architecture. Furthermore, these processes contain a series of steps which can be determined as methodological frameworks. The first one is preliminary or introduction phase. This determines the context for enterprise cloud architecture. Moreover, it also analyzes the business goals, objectives, and background of the company. Secondly, migration from as-is to to-be architecture comprises of three steps: initial planning phase, understanding vision and capabilities of the organization, and designing the targeted architecture to develop its targeted architecture. And the final one is delivery to a targeted architecture, which comprises of four key steps: the gap analysis, which is to identify the problems in the current strategy and then determine the further strategy; the implementation planning phase, which includes the planning and orientation process; the implementation governance, to ensure that the compliance is in the targeted architecture; and architecture change management, to ensure that the proposed architecture is in line with the business requirements.
First of all, talking about the benefits of cloud adoption. Now, basically, there are three main benefits of the cloud adoption that we'll be talking about. First of all, it's its cost efficiency. Second, it's flexibility and elasticity. Third would be the multiple accessibility. Now, cloud computing helps to save 50% cost to Amazon. Therefore, maintenance cost, hardware, infrastructure can be saved when companies move their operations to the cloud infrastructures, basically. Amazon also uses cloud computing to enhance their flexibility and elasticity to improve the customer service. Now, moreover, cloud computing also allows multiple access without any location restriction, and data sharing is quite easy for large organizations with its scalability and flexibility increasing. These are mainly the benefits. Now we'll be talking about the challenges of using cloud. First of all, we'll talk about the privacy. Second, security. Third, the data leakage. And fourth, about the data misuse. Now, these are the four main key challenges that we'll be discussing about. Now, privacy and security are the main concerns about cloud computing, since all the data and files are uploaded by clients without any encryption. So basically, there isn't any firewall at all. Second one, there is a data leakage risk for companies. To mitigate data as an application should be shared in the environment. So there's always this huge risk or the baggage that comes up with data leakage for companies when they try putting their data out in the shared environment. Therefore, large businesses like Amazon tend to use the public cloud in normal operating processes. Moreover, service providers manage resources, which increases the probability of misusing data, and client lacks control. Now, these are the challenges. Now, some of the recommendations that we'd like to put forward here, so as to mitigate these challenges or to reduce these challenges, would be: first, disaster recovery plan. Getting a disaster recovery plan is quite important. Using backup data center as an alternate place to store the data. That's quite important, and it's quite critical as well when to mitigate this above mentioned challenges. Afterwards, we'll look about the AWS cloud adaptation. Use AWS services to connect across various enterprise architecture domains, allowing traceability, monitoring, and governance of the organization's progress. Since the AWS services are widely available, changes can be readily implemented across all the divisions. True value of enterprise architecture practices can be realized and achieved. Now, the third one would be to appoint a project manager. Now, this would effectively manage and implement the adaptation of cloud services. Also, they would take appropriate measures for managing change within the organization. So this would be the three recommendations that we'd like to put forward based on the challenges that we have discussed. That is it. So far, we have covered in this session the benefits, the challenges, and the recommendations of the cloud adoption. Thank you so much for your time. And these are the references that we have used. Thank you so much.